Hello everyone. Today's presentation will focus on embracing neurodiversity in the classroom, which is an essential aspect of creating an inclusive and enriching school environment. First, we would like to make an acknowledgement of country. We recognize and pay respect to the elders and communities past, present and emerging of the lands that the University of Sydney's campus stands on. For thousands of years, they have shared and exchanged knowledge across innumerable generations for the benefit of all. Neurodiversity encompasses the spectrum of differences in how our brains develop and function. Most children are neurotypical, meaning they process information, learn, and behave predictably. These children generally meet developmental milestones and develop skills around the same age as others. Neurodivergent refers to children who process information, learn, and behave differently to what is considered typical in others. There may be differences in what milestones they meet and skills they develop compared to their neurotypical peers. Neurodiversity encompasses the idea that neurological differences, such as autism, ADHD, dyslexia, and other conditions, are simply natural variations of the human brain. Rather than viewing these differences as deficits, neurodiversity asserts that they are a different way of thinking. This presentation aims to demystify and celebrate neurodiversity and equipping you as teachers with practical supports on how to support neurodiverse children. By doing so, we not only help them reach their full potential, but also foster an inclusive and welcoming environment where every child can thrive.
Prevalence of neurodiversity. Did you know that approximately 1 in 5 to 6 children exhibit variations in their brain development, classifying them as neurodivergent? This term includes a range of conditions, including autism, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, specific learning disorders, dyspraxia, Tourette's, and various other neurological conditions. Here is some more information about each condition and how common they are in Australia. Autism Spectrum Australia estimates 1 in 70 Australians are on the autism spectrum. Autism exists on a spectrum, with individuals displaying a wide range of characteristics, with difficulty in social communication and repetitive behaviours being some of the most recognised traits. Approximately 1 in 20 Australians have ADHD. ADHD can include difficulties with behaviour, such as restlessness, difficulty with attention, and having a tendency to become impulsive. In Australia, learning difficulties are diagnosed as a specific learning disorder, and approximately 1 in 15 children in Australia have a specific learning disorder. There are 3 main types of SLD. Dyslexia is a difficulty with reading and spelling. Dysgraphia is difficulty with writing. And dyscalculia is a difficulty with maths. Dyspraxia is also another condition which is associated with difficulties in planning tasks, particularly related to movement and coordination. It may also affect speech sound production. It's important to note that each of these conditions can vary significantly among individuals. If someone does not fit a specific description precisely, it doesn't exclude them from being neurodivergent. On the other hand, displaying some characteristics does not necessarily mean one is neurodivergent.
Addressing the complexities of neurodiversity among students requires dispelling misconceptions and stereotypes that can inadvertently shape our perceptions and interactions. One common misconception is assuming a uniformity amongst neurodivergent children, neglecting the fact that each child presents so differently with unique strengths and challenges. Recognizing this diversity is very important. It allows us to engage in open conversations with both the child and their families to understand their individual needs and create tailored support systems in the classroom. Another misconception perpetuates the idea that neurodiverse children are not as smart as neurotypical children, subscribing to a narrow definition of intelligence. In truth, neurodivergent children often exhibit diverse talents and intellectual strengths. Another unfortunate myth is that neurodivergent children have more limited potential. This is not true and can significantly undermine children's opportunities for success. Dispelling this notion is crucial, emphasizing that with appropriate supports and accommodations, neurodivergent individuals can excel across various fields, leading meaningful and fulfilling lives. We should always presume that children are competent. Additionally, there is a misconception that neurodiversity only pertains to autism. The neurodiversity movement embraces a spectrum of neurological conditions, including ADHD, dyspraxia, and dyslexia. Understanding this breadth is fundamental for creating inclusive environments that cater to the unique needs of all neurodivergent students. Furthermore, the label of high functioning can be misleading. While some neurodivergent students may excel academically or socially, this term overlooks the underlying challenges that they face. Teachers must avoid assumptions based on appearances and prioritize understanding the specific needs of each neurodivergent student, irrespective of how high functioning they may seem. Embracing neurodiversity also starts with recognizing that each child brings a unique set of strengths, dreams, and interests, and may need support in different ways. This approach, often referred to as neurodiversity affirming approach, focuses on acknowledging each child's individual strengths. Being inclusive means we accommodate for the needs of the neurodivergent children by making changes to their environment instead of trying to change the child to fit the environment. It is about empowering children to make their own choices and develop a positive identity. Recognizing that each child excels in different areas and may require varied forms of support, inclusion fosters an environment where children can authentically be themselves. Inclusion actively supports children to be themselves and enjoy the new experiences and opportunities. In essence, embracing neurodiversity is embracing differences, unlocking the true potential of each child in our care.
Collaborating with parents and guardians. Parents and guardians play a crucial role in supporting neurodivergent students. Given their understanding of their child's strengths, challenges, and preferences, parents are often best positioned to provide insights and guidance. Hence, parents should be actively included from the beginning of the educational journey for their child. Collaborating with parents to determine the goals for the child can ensure goals are relevant and neurodiverse affirming for the child. Maintaining open lines of communication also allows parents to share their thoughts and ideas and maintain an ongoing process of problem solving to support the child's needs.
Now that we understand the importance of fostering an inclusive classroom for neurodivergent children, let's explore some practical strategies you can use in your classroom. Firstly, it is imperative to understand and embrace the strengths of each student. This requires a holistic approach, gathering insights from parents, caregivers, and significantly the students themselves. Recognize there is no one-size-fits-all when it comes to learning, especially for neurodivergent students. To support their success, it is critical to get to know and understand how they learn and think. Sensory needs play a pivotal role in this understanding. It is estimated that 45 to 95% of people with autism have sensory processing challenges. Encouraging self-advocacy amongst these children regarding their sensory needs and being mindful of creating an environment that supports those needs. Allowing movement breaks and the use of fidget toys with clear guidelines is beneficial. As one neurodivergent child explained, "I focus best when my body is moving. If I try my absolute hardest to sit still, I don't have much brain power left to learn." Neurodivergent children process sensory information differently from neurotypical peers, and some can easily become dysregulated by their environment. When this happens, it is significantly harder to listen, problem solve, reason, and control their body, sometimes leading to a meltdown. Dysregulation can manifest differently in each child, and common strategies include limiting sensory input, providing tools such as noise-canceling headphones and sunglasses. On top of this, allowing stimming is important. Stimming is a self-regulatory behavior created by repetitive body movements or noises. This may include chewing or mouthing objects, hand flapping, and rocking back and forth. Sulaki provides the analogy of shaking a can of Coke. Stimming provides that final sense of fizz or relief gained from opening the can for neurodivergent students. The goal is to empower the child to advocate for what they need to regulate themselves effectively. An essential time children use to regulate themselves is recess and lunch. When children miss these opportunities, they miss times that they can regulate themselves. There are also a wide variety of strategies that educators can use to assist and help neurodivergent students thrive. But remember that each child is different. So if it is a normal strategy that works for one child, it may not work for another. In essence, creating an inclusive classroom involves respecting and accommodating the unique strengths and needs of neurodiverse students. It requires championing self-advocacy, providing tools for sensory regulation, and ensuring that breaks are not just breaks, but opportunity for children to regulate themselves. Let us foster an environment where neurodivergent students can learn and grow and reach their full potential.
Accommodations in the context of education are supportive adjustments or modifications made to the learning environment, curriculum, or assessment processes to provide equal opportunities and access for neurodiverse children. This shifts away from trying to make the child fit the classroom and shifts to removing barriers that impact their participation in the classroom. There are some different types of accommodations. Different questions they seek to answer and apply are behavioral. What support does the child require to manage their emotions and behaviors for effective learning to take place? Environmental. What can we change about the student's learning environment to help them succeed? Instructional. What are the best ways we can present learning material to the student? Organizational. What organizational tools and supports does the student need to succeed? And finally, evaluative. How can we modify the ways in which the student shows us what they know during assessments? These questions above can be used to conduct careful person-centered planning and ensure the best outcomes for all children. There are many different examples of accommodations, but we will look at some examples for students with autism, ADHD, dyslexia, and dysgraphia. It is important to recognize that these are only general recommendations, and each individual child is different and may require individual accommodations. For students with autism, some accommodations can be behavioral, allowing the student to have conversations about their emotions and thoughts when they are ready. Behavioral as well, use special interests to build on their communication skills and learning opportunities. Organizational, allow additional time for assessments and tests. This is suitable for students with ADHD, dyslexia, and other conditions as well. And instructional, use explicit language and define abstract words or phrases in classroom instructions and explanations. For students with ADHD, some accommodations can be behavioral. Set goals in collaboration with the student to improve behavioral regulation skills. Instructional, give multi-step instructions in written form, and this may further help to have these instructions on their desks instead of the board. You can also check in with students after each step of the instruction is complete before moving on, and shorten or simplify assignments. For students with dyslexia, some accommodations can be instructional by allowing the student to use audiobooks or use a reading pen. When a reading pen is placed over text, it can read aloud to the student. And also evaluative, read test and assessment questions aloud to the student. For students with dysgraphia, some accommodations can be instructional, allowing students to use assistive technology to type or use speech-to-text software, and also note-taking assistance or scribing for a student. For all students, visual supports can also be used alongside verbal information to facilitate their understanding. Visual supports you could use in the classroom include visual timetables, pictures, and pairing gestures with what you say. Some neurodiverse children may also benefit from additional communication systems, such as symbols on a communication board, a book, or an iPad. Children need to be taught these symbols, and speech pathologists can help with this. Teachers can then collaborate with speech pathologists to implement these in the classroom. You can check out our other video on our channel titled AAC for more information. It is crucial that we continue to accept and foster communication in all its different forms, whether that be spoken, written, visual, and demonstrate the use of them in the classroom. This is beneficial as it exposes students to the diverse means by which people communicate and emphasizes their equal value. Importantly, it shares a responsibility of learning alternative communication methods across all students, rather than only expecting neurodivergent children to adapt their communication styles.
Some neurodiverse students have different social communication styles. This means that their social skills may look different to their neurotypical peers. For example, some neurodiverse students find it overstimulating to make eye contact and communicate literally through their words, using very limited nonverbal communication. It is important to encourage and allow neurodiverse children to communicate in a way that is authentically themselves. When neurodivergent children act as neurotypical children, we call this masking. Recent research shows that masking can have significant negative impacts on neurodiverse students' well-being. Because of these differences in communication styles, when social misunderstandings happen, it is important to make sure it is the responsibility of everyone to repair them. Neurotypical peers will benefit from learning about neurodiverse style social skills, just as much as neurodiverse children will benefit from learning about their neurotypical social skills.
We recognise that educators may encounter several challenges when implementing neurodiversity affirming practices in the classroom. These challenges may include lack of training. Many educators may not have received adequate training or professional development on neurodiversity and inclusive teaching practices, making it difficult to know how to effectively accommodate the diverse needs of students. Limited resources, insufficient access to resources, specialized materials, or assistive technology can also hinder the ability to create an inclusive learning environment. Also, large class sizes. Managing a classroom with a high number of students, each with unique needs, can be overwhelming, making it challenging to provide individualized support and attention. Time constraints. The demands of a packed curriculum and standardized testing schedules may leave little time for educators to implement personalized accommodations. Behavioral challenges. Neurodivergent students may exhibit challenging behaviors that can disrupt the classroom environment, making it difficult to maintain a positive and inclusive atmosphere. And finally, advocacy. Students will need advocacy for their needs, which can be emotionally and administratively demanding. Addressing all these challenges involves a commitment to ongoing professional development, open communication with students and families, flexibility, and a willingness to adapt teaching practices to accommodate the diverse learning needs. While this inevitably takes time and resources, it is worthwhile to create an inclusive and supporting learning environment that will promote the best outcomes for all students. Neurodiverse affirming practices in the classroom offer a range of benefits, both for neurodivergent students and the educational community as a whole. Here are some of the key advantages. Inclusivity and diversity. Neurodiverse affirming approaches create a more inclusive and diverse learning environment. They acknowledge that neurodiversity is a natural part of human experience, fostering a sense of belonging for all students, regardless of their cognitive differences. This helps educators and peers become more aware of different learning styles and needs. Enhanced learning outcomes. When educators embrace neurodiversity, they can cater to the unique learning styles and strengths of neurodivergent students. This individualized approach often leads to improved academic performance. Thirdly, development of life skills. These practices help students develop essential life skills such as self-advocacy, self-regulation, and problem-solving. They can better understand their own needs and communicate more effectively, which is valuable for their lifelong experiences. Fourthly, reduce stigma and bullying. An affirming environment reduces the stigma associated with neurodivergent conditions. It fosters empathy and understanding among students, which can lead to a decrease in bullying and social isolation, promoting emotional well-being. 5, increased creativity and innovation. Neurodivergent individuals often bring unique perspectives and create problem-solving skills to the table. Affirming their neurodiversity can lead to more innovation within the classroom and in the long term. And finally, parental engagement. Parents of neurodivergent children often become more engaged in their child's education when they see that their child's needs are being acknowledged and addressed. This can lead to more effective collaboration between teachers and parents. Neurodiversity affirming classrooms acknowledge their strengths and unique perspectives of neurodivergent individuals, fostering an environment where everyone can thrive and learn from one another.
There are some great professional development opportunities to learn more about how to create an inclusive, neurodiversity affirming classroom, which are led by autistic and neurodiverse voices. One notable resource is from the Learning About Neurodiversity at School, or LEANS, which is a program designed for mainstream primary schools in the UK. Catering for students aged 8 to 11, LEANS introduces the concept of neurodiversity and its impact on school experiences. The program encompasses teacher training and neuroaffirmative curriculum and valuable resources for parents and caregivers. For more information, you can visit the website on the screen. Another valuable resource is NeuroBears, offered by pandasonline.org. NeuroBears provides an online neurodiversity affirming short course aimed at supporting children and families in understanding neurodivergent. This source serves as a foundational step for fostering comprehension amongst families and educators alike. Kerry Murphy from The Mind Behind Neurodiversity Affirming, EYFS for Me, on the website also outlined on the screen, has developed a neurodiversity toolkit tailored for early years practitioners. This tool is a valuable asset for those aiming to implement a more inclusive and neurodiversity affirming approach in their educational practices. Educators are encouraged to explore these resources to enhance their knowledge and create an inclusive learning environment. Thank you for listening. We hope you have walked away with a deep understanding and practical tools on how to embrace neurodiversity in the classroom. It is through fostering understanding, empathy, and inclusion that we create spaces where neurodiverse children can flourish. Thank you.